The best way to build your brand, to build awareness for your design firm in 2020 just might be to not talk about design at all. What? Giving architects and landscape architects the tools and strategies to be seen, heard, and valued in the marketplace, and telling the stories of leaders building thriving design firms and attracting their ideal clients. This is From Architecture to PROFITecture. I'm your host, Jay Krakowski. Let's get started. Fellow and future PROFITects, how are you? Welcome to the show. And today we're talking about building your brand by not talking about design. In fact, I kind of want you to stop talking about design, at least for some of your online, some of your promotional content. Now, why would I say something like that? The best example that comes to mind, although it's not necessarily a product that I endorse or ever drink, is Red Bull. How often do you see in Red Bull's promotional material, in their commercials, whether it's online or on TV, they are never talking about the drink. They're never talking about the ingredients. They're never talking directly about the energy boost. They are talking about the lifestyle. They're talking about the emotion. They're talking about getting outdoors, about being active, about connecting with fellow adventurers. They're talking about everything but what they actually make and what they actually provide to the world. The fact that they are digging into lifestyle, that they are digging into emotion rather than product, I think speaks volumes, because they're a huge corporation in the world. Now, am I saying that taking that tactic is going to make you a blue chip company? Maybe, probably not, but maybe. Rather, I would challenge you to think about it in terms of people over process, people buying on emotion, people buying from other people, rather than people simply subscribing to the way that you produce architecture, to the way that you produce documents, that you produce visualizations. And that might be hard to swallow for some of you. I mean, you have spent how many years in school, whether that's a bachelor's or a master's degree, and then the path to licensure. So you've put in 10, 15, 20 years before you've decided to jump out and go out on your own, open your own firm, which is a scary proposition. I mean, I'm not an anthropologist, I'm not a biologist, but from all of the entrepreneurial training and podcasts and a little bit of science that I've gathered, our brains are wired for safety. They're wired to avoid pain. They're wired to be part of a tribe. And through all of our training and through all of our professional experience, architecture or landscape architecture is our safety. That's our tribe now. Those are probably a lot of the people that you socialize with outside of work anyhow. And it's certainly the people that you spend most of your waking hours with Monday through Friday and potentially Saturday. If design is your safe space, if design is now the tribe, selling design by not talking about design can feel completely unsafe, can feel completely unpredictable. The idea of digging into psychology and digging into emotion and connection to other people, I would say would actually help you sell in a stronger way than simply relying on photos of sketches, on time-lapse videos of people scuttling around your studio, or job site videos of framing or finishing touches on details before the client moves into a space. But let's get tactical here. What can we do other than saying, we don't have the production budget to produce Red Bull videos, which most of us don't. I certainly don't. What are some things that you and I can focus on as small firm owners, as small firm designers? In my case, I'm a sole proprietor. One would be your hobbies and your activities. What kinds of things do you participate in when you're not being an architect or a landscape architect that bring you joy? And then within those, one example would be, what are the details of those? Now, not necessarily talking about model building and the details of those, although that's a very good example. How can the details, the small details of whatever hobbies you pursue, activities that you participate in on the weekends, how do the details of those relate to the details that you create in your design work? Can you make a connection there? Another example could be client relationships. Have you formed client relationships by participating in those weekend sports leagues or in area meetups because you all share a certain passion or a certain hobby? Can you tell the story of how you moved from something outside of architecture, outside of landscape design that you love, into now a professional working relationship, and tell the story of that connection? Not necessarily how you solve their problems, how you responded to site conditions, but rather how did you connect with another human being? That's a huge selling point right there. And that also leads into how you connect with your team if you have a staff. Are you spending time outside of the office participating in hobbies? Are you going out to community events? Are you going bowling? I don't know. Are there little things where you're showing the human connection, the human element, not just the technical expertise and the eye for design that I know you all have? Second opportunity to create online content, to create good marketing content that isn't focused on design, is a little more experiential. Are there specific events? Are there challenges that you're taking on? Are there daily fitness activities that you're participating in that are challenging you? Are they helping you to set goals? Whether that's running a certain distance, climbing a certain mountain, going on a specific hike in terms of fitness. That's where the idea of goal setting and coming up with the strategy and the discipline to work through to a solution. In that case, it's climbing a mountain, let's say. When you are goal setting with your clients and you can help them see the end result, then how does that tie into the steps that you take to get them there? And yes, it could be as simple as identifying your design process as the process to get them to that eventual goal. But there's a relationship there. And I challenge you to, and I'd love for you to touch on those goals. Again, not just the design process, but create marketing content and online content, ultimately video content that touches on those goals first and foremost. Are there notions of perseverance, even patience, that you can draw from as you are meeting your own fitness goals, as you are attending certain charity or community events where there's certainly not an immediate response, that there's not instant gratification, which I know is so prevalent on social media, or rather fostered by a lot of social media today. Are there notions of that perseverance, which I think a lot of clients can attest to, not having the wealth of knowledge and work experience that we have? The things can often take weeks, if not months, if not years, to see the end goal. How can you make that a relatable and human story to set their mind at ease, at least a little bit? I won't say that will completely alleviate client fears or hesitation into entering into a working relationship with a design professional, taking on a massive construction project. And for some, even redoing a kitchen is a massive construction project. How can you bring that across in your marketing material on a more human level? One specific idea that I wanted to touch on, only because I'm headed out of town tomorrow to one, is conferences. Are there conferences for things other than architecture and landscape architecture that you are attending, that you're seeking to attend, and why? Is it about entrepreneurship? Is it specifically about video? Is it about some crazy hobby that I don't know about yet, but that really fuels your fire and may actually be the fuel for you working your 40 hours a week so that you can go and do this? And how does that tie into the passion that you bring back to your design profession, to your career? Yeah, in my case, I'm headed out to an entrepreneurial conference tomorrow where I may be I'm certainly going to be the only landscape architect in the room. I may be the only one designing physical spaces. There may not be an interior designer or architect in the room, but they have the same goal as I'm delivering this to you over the internet to bring their expertise, to bring their solutions to problems that their clients have, and package them in a way that clients online can find them and can get those solutions that they need. And in relationship to that, are there notions of entrepreneurship or new technology that you're bringing into your firm that maybe future or potential clients can utilize, can relate to? Now, I'm not just talking about the latest 3D printer, although some clients may think that's really cool and they want to hold the model of their house in their hand and take the floors apart. Is it also the consistency that you show up on a particular online platform? Is there an online portal that you provide to your clients so that they can check in with where you are in the design process, or they can download that copy of the concept plan again because they want to show it to Uncle Ted because he's so jazzed about what you're doing? Are there elements of technology or building your business, building your design firm that you can share that would make a connection with your potential clients? The tie into how you actually bring those into your online marketing first would be to remind yourself that people buy from people. People buy based on emotion. They're not buying based simply on the design process that you have perfected and worked on so hard for 10, 15, 20 plus years, but rather that they are buying from you, or they're buying from your team. They're buying a solution to their problems. So in the case of building online marketing content, I've got a kind of a simple formula that you could implement some of these ideas. And the first is the hook. That probably takes the most thought. That probably takes the most work. When someone opens the Instagram story, when they open that post, what's the one thing? Let's say you're out on a certain trip. Let's say you're hiking. Let's go back to that fitness example, and you are coming up to scaling the peak. What's one phrase that you could sum up your the summiting the peak that's going to relate to the final checkoff of that punch list or the stamp of the certificate of occupancy? Can you make that tie in? And that's going to be the lead in to your piece of content. And then you want to fall back on what the problem is that you have solved or that you're working to solve. You want to tie into a little bit of the client pain or the potential client's pain that you happen to solve. And then of course, bring up the solution, how you addressed it. And maybe not specifically, not technically, just pick up a picture of construction details and put them on the screen, but you do want to touch on the solution. And then with every post, what's the call to action? And you want to move away from story at the end of it and say, is it book a call? Is it shoot me an email? Is it come on in, swing by the store for the store, swing by the studio for between these hours on this day because we hold open studio, and we want to see you, we want to meet you, we want to understand if we might build a working relationship together. So call to action is vital there. So I hope we've given you a little food for thought, other than just posting photos of sketches and photos from site walks or videos of framing progress, something to that effect, but rather digging into more human stories and things that you tackle outside of your 40 hours. And I know for some of you, 40 might be laughable at this point, but outside of your working hours, how are you not being an architect? How are you not being a landscape architect? And how can you make those connections to your potential ideal clients? And if you want to learn more, if you think I can help you with identifying those stories, identifying the values that might tie you to those clients and those client stories. March 9th, my free course will open up called Story Script Shoot, where we are going to address the notion of values and beliefs and how those can play perhaps the biggest role in your marketing material, in your online material, and ultimately in your video. Again, that starts March 9th. If you would like access, it's not going to be on any of the social media platforms. It's going to be private access to pre-recorded videos, and then we'll discuss them online. Shoot me a direct message at Jay Krakowski, either here on Facebook or LinkedIn. If you're watching this live, welcome. And if you're on the replay, thank you so much for watching. Or on Instagram as well, at Jay Krakowski. I appreciate you watching. Go out and make it a great week. If you happen to be in San Diego this weekend, that's where I'll be, at Jill and Josh Stanton's live event, connecting with other entrepreneurs. But if you're in the area and want to meet up, shoot me a DM. I'd love to meet you, hear from you there. Stay tuned next week, episode 6. I've got my first guest. Very excited for this. And I do have a series of guests lined up. But I've got Brody Kirst on the program. He is an architecture graduate and videographer, and he did not leave school and join an architecture firm. He opened his own video studio and is creating content for architects and other designers. So I'm very excited to speak with him. I think you're going to learn a lot about what it takes, what you should be thinking about when you engage an actual video production company. So tune in next week for that. Make it a great weekend. Make it a great week ahead, because your success is inevitable. Cheers. Thank you so much for tuning in. Don't forget to hit subscribe so you stay up to date with future episodes. Connect with me on Facebook, Instagram, or LinkedIn at Jake Krakowski. And for show notes and much more, visit PROFITectureByDesign.com/podcast. The best way to build your brand, to build awareness for your design firm in 2020 might be to have a barking dog outside your door. Or you got to be kidding me. We're going to take 2 in just 1 second, folks. Stay with me. FedEx man plus dog plus live podcast does not equal success. You'll see the edit tomorrow. Amazing. Amazing. Are you done? Sweet.